This is Steve Young for the Co-Roundtable. In this little segment, I'd like to boast and brag a bit about our work because a book right here from 2012, Why Nations Fail, the authors of this book have just won the Nobel Prize in economics, which is, I think, a vindication of the Co-Roundtable's thinking about moral capitalism and moral government. Why? Because the thesis of this book is institutions. That nations that build what they call institutions have more economic growth, they have more wealth, which can do two things. One, it can go to people and raise their living standards. Two, which is often overlooked, it can be taxed. So wealthy countries can put more money into government in order to deliver more services to more people. What's not to like? And I'm just taking this because as again vindication. I'm very happy about it because so much of the debate over capitalism is sort of between profits versus something else. It's looking at selfishness versus altruism, something like that, without looking more at structures, at institutions. Also, and I've written a couple of commentaries on this, in recent years, economic growth in poor countries has slowed down, which means what? Which means about 1 billion people around the world, they're not getting more income, and they're already poor. And their schools aren't very good, and the roads aren't very good, and companies are not being started, factories are not being opened, so how are they or their children or their grandchildren going to experience a good standard of living? And I would say, and this is what I was taught as an undergraduate years ago, that these countries have failed to develop the right kinds of institutions. What the book talks about is institutions for rent extraction. In other words, political institutions, dominant parties, aristocracies, authoritarian rulers, elite classes. They structure the system of laws and enforcement to extract cash from the people for a minority. And the cash, in many cases, ends up in where? In financial havens. We have a good friend, Raymond Baker, who 10, 15 years ago was estimating that every year perhaps as much as $1 trillion leaves poor countries for tax havens or tax shelters, or just openly in London or somewhere else, Singapore in Asia. So what kind of an institutional arrangement do we have where cash is being extracted from a lot of poor people, not turned into institutional capital? Systemically, social capital and human capital are not built. So if you don't build those capitals, institutionalize those capitals, you're never going to get economic wealth or financial wealth. And that problem deserves attention. And I don't think enough people are paying attention to it. So we try our best. Thank you.